Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Jesus Conde, and today we're going to be continuing with this painting. It's taking a bit of time because of the reflections. They're really intricate, and I'm trying to do this kind of like a chrome looking material, but we're getting there slowly. Today I didn't know exactly where to begin adding more detail on this painting, and I did decided what to do with the background change that I was thinking. I decided not to change it, mostly because I wanna explore new things. I feel like if I change the background to something that is more like what I will usually do, I will be kind of like settling for something, like doing just the same thing over and over again, instead of exploring something new. So I decided to continue with this very abstract looking background, more of a graphical kind of approach, and see what it got me. And today I found some couple of interesting things. I did wanted to make it look flat, but also I needed to render the kind of like the material what it was made of, and I decided that these petals will be kind of floating, so eventually I will need to have some cast shadows. Also, I was trying to incorporate some of the petal ideas to the gold part too, or the golden part, but it didn't work quite well, so that's kind of like a standby idea. But here I'm trying to add a little bit of cast shadow, like if it was a black, like a white wall behind. And I'm not sure how I felt about that, but I did like that it added a tiny bit of three-dimensionality. I will actually, maybe, just maybe, at the end add a huge cast shadow on the back of the whole girl, just to make it look like she's on top of a wall, like in front of a wall or something. That will be pretty cool. It will kind of give some kind of a three-dimensional kind of effect. Not that it looks super realistic, but here I was trying to do this kind of a gold looking material, but also I'm trying to find a way of doing the strokes that looks interesting. I kind of gave up at some point because I didn't find anything that I liked. I mean, if you see the small version at the right, it doesn't look bad, but I wasn't sure where I was going with it, like, or if I could keep up to do the same thing over and over again. So I kind of left it a little bit like that, and then kind of went to the more flat looking version. You will see in a few minutes what I mean. I was also trying to do some kind of adding more and more detail to the shapes, but it ended up looking better when everything was more simplified. I guess this is what happens when you try to do this kind of graphical looking background instead of a really high detail one. Those moments that it got stuck a little bit, I was just thinking what to do, and looking just a bit of reference on a book that I have from Gustav Klimt. I really like that book. And once I get to this part, doing these little squares, I kind of felt like I understood what I was doing. I was doing this kind of like gold leaf kind of a finish to the painting, like if it was a gold leaf material or something, and it needed to look kind of flat. It couldn't look too much three-dimensional. It will be weird. And yeah, when I got there, I was like, I think I know what to do now. So I've done this before, but I did it by hand. I did some NFTs once that looked like a gold material, but it was actually rendered with 3D. Like I did like a flat mask and then put a light on 3ds Max, and I got this gold reflection that looked beautiful, but it wasn't made by hand like this. It was basically automatic by the 3D software, so there was a lot of help. And I could do the same thing here, but I'm trying to stretch my abilities instead of relying on the 3D software. Not that there's anything bad with it, but I feel like I need to learn these things. So once I added this tiny shadow on the shapes, I felt like, this is going somewhere. It's kind of like achieving this look of having a flat wall and then putting that there, like that gold finish. Then I felt like I was spending too much on that part, so I went back to add more detail on this one. It was a little bit hard to figure some things out, especially when you have this, her right arm is basically rendered and you're just trying to replicate all that detail, all that reflections that you did there. I cannot do it somewhere else. It was a little bit difficult for me, I'm gonna be honest. I could also watch some Sorayama references to see what he did with these kind of like round shapes, but that guy, I don't know what that guy did. But everything is on point, like all the reflections look just perfect, like where they should be, right? Also, it feels like this kind of painterly way of painting is not that compatible with the reflection things. It looks good, it doesn't look that bad, but man, it's difficult. Also, I felt like I wanted to add something tiny, like very small in the chest, and I felt like adding a flower will be fitting for some reason, and I just added that. I just added that flower there. It's supposed to be made of gold, and yeah, I think it's a nice touch, especially because you will be looking at the image trying to find things here and there, like. This is the kind of image that I want people to spend some time looking and finding all these details and things. Not that there's a bunch of detail, but you get the point. It's kind of like, yeah, it's more intricate kind of design. Even though it could be argued that the other ones are also intricate, this is a really different thing. It's a more of a, yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on in the painting and there's no perspective, so it's a different kind of a thing that is hitting your eyes, right? Also, these reflections were kind of difficult because once you put them, everything starts to tend to look for some shapes, like it tends to look either like way too round or way too flat too, depending on what you're doing, and that part was a bit difficult to control, honestly. These ribcage looking shapes were okay. It wasn't too difficult to do that, but yeah, trying to render everything and kind of be as accurate as possible with the shape of the reflections was a nightmare. I need to study more about reflections, and I know kind of like how to render them. I've done tutorials before, and there's a bunch of work that I do, and my actual work that I had to render metal at some point, and I know how to do these things, but it's been some time, and you know what happens if you don't use something, you lose it. So it's kind of like that ability of drawing metal, you kind of lose that if you don't do it too much. Of course, once you get into it again, everything comes back to your mind super quickly, and that's happening, but it's taking quite some time to to get used to working on this space and doing all this stuff, all these reflections everywhere and stuff like that. It's kind of hard. Also, something that I'm forgetting for some reason constantly is to cheat. I used to cheat a lot with the same painting, and for some reason I'm painting everything. Like, it's just like if I'm gonna be given an award for painting everything, you could paint everything, but you can also copy paste from your own painting things. Like, you don't have to paint everything from scratch. You can copy paste things if you want to. So there's a little piece of the arm, like this elbow piece, it's perfectly copy pastable from the other one, like that. And it took me quite some time to realize that. I don't know why. Also, her left arm is a bit short, so I'm gonna have to, I thought it was way too much work to move it, so I'm gonna take advantage of that cut that is there in the forearm to kind of move it up a little, and then make it look like it's the arm extends for some reason. And I think that works because I don't want to change the length of the elbows too much, or the arms. It will be, well, I'll see what can I do in this part of the video. You will see what I mean, but I will double check later if that's what I actually want to do, or I want to go the long route and changing how high the elbow is. Now we get to this metallic part of the hands, and it's quite challenging because there is a lot of curves and things like that, so I'm trying to figure out what the reflections are going to be. I'm not going to figure it out in this video. It's gonna be for another one. But it was difficult. It was difficult to think how the reflections will be done on this part. I'm also thinking I should change the head to look more like the other girls that I've done, like with a jaw, like a more robotic jaw, and yeah, do some changes in that part. Because right now it's starting to look a little bit disconnected from everything else. And man, those hands are difficult. It doesn't matter if they are made of skin or if they are robot hands or have gloves. Hands are hands, and it's gonna be always difficult to be painted. It's so challenging. Here I'm just trying to find, like, maybe what's the final detail of those pieces going to be. I'm not sure if I quite found it, but yeah, it's a little bit of progress, that's all. So I often made this argument of, like, progress is progress. Doesn't matter how much progress you do, but as long as it's progress, it's fine. And that's one of the reasons that I wanted to make these videos. Obviously, as you guys have heard before, I wanted to be able to produce a certain amount of paintings for a project, personal project. And if I don't show up and do all the videos that need to be done, that's never gonna happen. And making a video is just a way for me to force myself to keep producing, because I could actually do this without any videos, but then I will think, oh right, so that thing or this other thing is so important, I cannot do a video today. I'm not saying you guys have to make a YouTube video every day, but it will be nice that you make some kind of a system that makes you accountable to produce a certain amount of content or progress every day, so you can compare, like, how much time you take. When you do something daily, you can start to measure things, like how are you doing, like statistics basically. And this is it, guys. I really hope you like the progress we did today on this painting. I'm really liking the result, and see you tomorrow. Bye.